Hi everybody, I'm back. I'm in a new place, so different background, new setup, full shebang. Well, new lack of setup. I'm just on my laptop doing my best. So today I thought I would talk about the pink sauce TV show interview that happened a couple weeks ago. I know I'm behind, but I'm just getting back into watching YouTube and getting into the drama and stuff. So I figured this would be a nice little stepping stone for me to be coming back. And yeah, so we're going to be talking about how I don't think Chef Pii is a very nice lady. Just because of the way that she behaved on this talk show, because her behavior was very unacceptable to me. I was just watching this and I was just like, what in your right mind makes you think that it's a good idea to talk to somebody this way, let alone a paying customer, somebody who paid money for your product. So I'm sure a lot of people have heard about it. It was called the Karamo Show, which I don't know if it's an actual TV show or if it's just an internet show, but it seems very not quite Jerry Springer-esque, but more like the Maury Show. So examples are some of their actual titles that I pulled from their YouTube channel are confronting my body shaming sister-in-law, or we've been together for 18 years, unlock your phone, or my wife is addicted to social media. Now, I'm not putting down social media addiction. I know that's a thing. But these types of topics don't really seem like a studio audience television show environment is the best place to be talking about these things. Chef Pii. I put quotes around chef because but she claims to be a chef. So Chef Pii chalks it all up to clout chasing for this one particular image that her and the Karamo Show decided to basically pin her entire internet downfall and all the problems that everybody was having on this one person, and just chalked it up to clout chasing, which is absolutely ridiculous in my opinion. Not everybody's all about the clout. But so they had Chef Pii on the show, and then so she got to give her side of the story of what her business is, what her product is, what it's supposed to do, how everything's fine, that kind of thing. And then they brought Allured Beauty on, whose real name is Allie, who had done a TikTok review on the sauce. So, like I said, they singled Allie out as the person that caused all the negative viral activity around the pink sauce when people were getting bloated bottles or exploded bottles, or people were getting apparently getting sick from it. Allie had sent a portion off to the labs, and I'm not going to clickbait this because there's no point. The lab results are never released. They don't get released on the show. They don't get released on her interview with Atozy. She won't release the results. I don't really understand her reasoning, but you know what? It's her decision. She's a big girl. She can make her own choices. But she is choosing to not release the lab results. There's a few problems I had with the show itself. So, Allie had requested behind the scenes that they separate her and Chef Pii. So you know how usually there's a couch sometimes that everybody sits on? Well, she wanted individual chairs because she wasn't comfortable around Chef Pii because Allie doesn't know Chef Pii, and she didn't have a very good review. It was actually really kind compared to some of the other ones. But Allie just was not comfortable being on a couch or incredibly close to Chef Pii, which is totally fine. And the first thing that gives me like this is like Mari or Jerry Springer feels is Karamo brought that up on stage, on air, in front of the audience, and in front of Chef Pii. He's like, so my producers told me that we had a little problem. And that little problem is that you requested to sit separately from Chef Pii. Which, first of all, puts her in a very awkward position and immediately makes her look bad. Even though it's a perfectly reasonable to request to be like, I don't know this person. It doesn't make me comfortable to share a couch with them. Perfectly reasonable. Like, just respect the boundary that she put in place. And while they were seated separate, I would in that, like, if I was in that position, I would expect that my request to be kept private and not to be put on air for the whole world. But that's just me. So first of all, there was no need to include that. It was just like priming her to look bad, in my opinion. Chef Pii then claims that Allie harassed her online and that she is the sole source of all the negative publicity and negativity that Chef Pii received. And it wasn't like her own actions, like her own TikTok lies where she said she didn't know what the FDA was, even though she claimed to be a chef for multiple years. Then, while Allie was trying to get like her side out, Chef Pii says this gem, and I wrote it down because it is truly a gem. It was not to cut you off, but to cut you off. So, like, in that sentence, it was like, I'm going to pretend to be respectful by saying not to cut you off, but I'm going to show how little respect I have for you as a person by saying, but to cut you off and then continue speaking when I've already had my time to speak. So, it really doesn't paint Chef Pii in the best light. I will say that, I guess his name is Karamo. That's what I'm calling him. Karamo did interject and say, hey, let's have Allie have her shot. You already had yours. You know, that's good. Now, during Chef Pii's earlier clip where Allie was not on the stage, she had already claimed that she had emailed every single customer to offer either a refund or a replacement bottle if you had problems with your pink sauce. Allie never received an email. And I'm sure a bunch of people didn't receive emails. So when Allie asks, why didn't you email me? Chef Pii goes on this long explanation about how, like, why should I email you? Well, first of all, you said you did. Second of all, like, if you knew she had a problem with your product, why weren't you trying to make amends, trying to make things better? Like, if that's what you wanted to do, why weren't you doing it? Why weren't you taking those steps to make sure that your customers had the best version of your product and were happy so that they would keep coming back? And in response to Allie being like, why didn't you email me? You know, you had my email, you had my phone, you had my address, you had my TikTok, you had all of this stuff that you could have contacted me by and you didn't. Chef Pii response was, why would I email you? You know, why didn't you reach out to me for, like, the spelling issues on the bottle, the serving size issues on the bottle, or the fact that there was glitter in her bottle, the poor packaging, the mislabeling, the not having cold packs when it shipped? She's like, why didn't you email me about these things? Which was basically like, to me, what I heard her say was, why didn't you do my job for me? Because as the creator of the product and the, you know, shipper of the product, you should have all of that stuff in line. You should check to make sure that your labels are correct and accurate according to FDA guidelines. You need to make sure that the packaging isn't going to explode. you need to make sure that if it has milk in it, which it does, it's cool. Like, it's got cold packs in there, so if you get cold. But she was like sending it off in like manila envelopes. And like, not every bottle had a front label on it. Like, Allie's bottle had a back label, but not a front label. So there were multiple issues with the packaging. And Chef Pee's entire response is, why didn't you do my job for me? Which I found absolutely ridiculous. Another thing that I think shows a lack of respect for just boundaries in general on Chef Pee's part is they're sitting in separate chairs. So they're sitting in separate chairs. Allie's here, Chef Pee's here. You know, Allie has already publicly stated that being really close to Chef Pii is not something that she wants. She doesn't really want to be within touching distance. She doesn't want to be touched because, you know, or else like she would have been fine sitting on the couch. Chef Pii just says, I'm gonna grab your hand as she grabs it. As she grabs Allie's hand. Now, first of all, you didn't ask. How do you know that Allie's okay with this if you didn't ask for consent? Which is another thing. Like, there's a severe lack of boundaries. And Chef Pii just lacks respect for boundaries. Like, spoken and unspoken ones, it seems. And basically said, you weren't special and I know the industry. Well, if you know the industry, why was your product so fucked up? Like, I'm just curious. If you know the industry as well as you claim to, why wasn't your product good the first time around? At the end of the clip, Allie says, I think there's learning to be had on both sides. Like, obviously Allie could have done more. She's like, I could have reached out and, you know, stated that I had issues. I shouldn't have just relied on Chef Pii to reach out to me. You know, so Allie acknowledged her issues. Chef Pii shook her head and Karamo said, I think the learning's on your side. I think the learning is more on your side because something about reflecting about, you know, Chef Pee's safety and what this negative review could cause. Now, again, it was a very tame review. It was a very tame review. Wasn't that big a deal. But they blew it up that, like, all the hate, all the safety issues Chef Pii was having was Allie's fault, which was not the case at all. There were already a bunch of negative reviews before Allie's. And my other question is, if Karamo is so concerned about the safety of Chef Pii, why isn't he and Chef Pii concerned about the safety of her customers? Does the safety of the customer just never enter your mind? Because if it doesn't, that's ridiculous. You need to really, like, sit down and be like, is this product safe? Because if it has milk in it, and it's being shipped, and it's got no cold packs, and it's being shipped in hot weather, like, bad things can happen. Like, it's just, like, what happens when you leave milk out? It spoils, bacteria grows, it gets gross, it gets bloated, it smells. And people had bottles that exploded and smelled because they were left out in the heat in, like, hot vans that were delivering them. Like, the whole thing was just baffling, and it just leaves me to be like, okay, Chef Pii doesn't respect boundaries, if she even knows what they are. And she's just not a nice lady, in my opinion. She's just not nice. Like, you don't look at your customer and say, you're not special because you tried to hurt me and I'm still here. I'm fairly confident Allie's intentions with her review was not to hurt you, but to give an honest review of the product for her TikTok followers. I'm sure there were some people who went out specifically to try and hurt Chef Pii. That's a thing that happens. But the specific person that they have chosen to blame, they're just using her as a scapegoat, and I find it incredibly, like, unsettling and rude. So that's it for my opinions on this. If you liked it, please, you know, like it. Leave a comment if you have something to say about it. You know, I don't turn off comments because I think everybody deserves a chance to have their voice. And subscribe if you kind of like this. I know this is a little bit, it's a lot different than my previous videos, but I am in a transition period right now, like moving and dealing with a bunch of stuff. But yeah, so I'll be back the next time I have something to talk about. I might do an episode by episode review of the new Shane Dawson and Jeffree Star collaboration that's coming out. Let me know if you're interested in that, and I will see you in the next video. So, bye bye everybody. I hope you have a great day.